Well, hello and welcome everyone to the Ireland Study Abroad information session. My name is Piper O'Sullivan and I'm the Assistant Director of Study Abroad, and I manage 3 programs that we offer in Ireland, along with programs in England and all over Asia. Tonight we're going to review the University College Dublin, the University College Cork, and then finally the National University of Ireland in Galway. These are all world-renowned universities, and I'm very proud to say that Holy Cross has had long-standing institutional partnerships with them. For example, our partnership at Galway goes back at least 30 years. So I've been working at Holy Cross for about 2 years, and I've been very fortunate to learn a lot about these 3 programs in Ireland from students who have studied abroad there. And I encourage you to speak with your peers that have studied abroad, especially Tara, who is here tonight, so you can gain a better understanding of what it's like to be a student in one of these locations and hear what advice they have for you as a prospective student. So Tara, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I am Tara. I studied at University College of Cork last fall just for the semester. As I mentioned earlier, I'm living in Worcester and I'm a psych major with a religious studies minor.
Great, thank you. And you were at Cork in fall 2019, right? And you're welcome to connect with more study abroad ambassadors. These are current seniors at Holy Cross who have returned from studying abroad, and you can find a list of them at sa.holycross.edu. So in my role as assistant director, I help students apply to our programs. I can also answer any questions about the financial aspects of study abroad, course registration, logistics, and your health and safety while overseas. Beginning in October, my schedule will be rather flexible, so I encourage all of you to please reach out to me as you work on your applications. You can schedule a meeting with me through our website, that's sa.holycross.edu, or simply attend my Zoom office hours every Friday. I want to emphasize that wherever you study abroad, it's a 2-part process. First, you need to finish your Holy Cross application, the deadline for which is November 6th. And then once I approve your application, you'll move on to the second part, which is to apply directly to a university in Ireland. So to help orient you, here are the 3 cities in relation to each other. Ireland is a small country. It's about the size of Indiana, and Ireland has a population of 4.9 million people. Dublin is obviously the capital on the eastern side of the country. It's known as one of the safest cities in the world. Down south is Cork, and then to the far west is Galway along the shore. Both Dublin and Cork have international airports, but Galway does not. The closest one is Shannon Airport. And I would say half of the students who study abroad in Galway arrive in Shannon, while the other half makes the bus journey from Dublin to Galway, which takes about 3 hours. And Tara, I was wondering, would you say that Ireland is generally an easy country to navigate? And did you often take buses to visit these different parts of the country?
I took the buses all the time, not actually within the city of Cork, but to get to different areas of Ireland. I flew into Cork when I first arrived just for some peace of mind to make traveling easier. But the trip from Cork to Dublin, I did at least, it felt almost like every other week with my travel schedule while abroad, but it's all very manageable and very easy to do.
Excellent. So now I'm going to first review the University College Dublin, also known as UCD. It's the largest university in the country with more than 30,000 students, It has a long list of impressive alumni, as you can imagine, including 3 former presidents of Ireland, 5 prime ministers, 2 famous leaders of the 1916 independence movement, and UCD has produced more Supreme Court justices and attorney generals of Ireland more than any other institution since 1922. UCD is known for its great strength and diversity of disciplines, research, and innovation. It's ranked within the top 1% of higher education institutions worldwide, and its most prominent departments, one of them is English and literature. So if you're an English major, definitely consider UCD as an option. You'll be joined by 8,000 international students. UCD is the most diverse and globally engaged university in Ireland, and you'll be only a 30-minute bus ride away from Dublin. The campus is just south of the capital. The campus itself is quite large, spanning over 300 acres and comprises of various schools for the humanities, the social sciences, and the UCD O'Brien Center for Science. The campus also includes the Sutherland Law School and the Quinn School of Business. And while you can't enroll in pre-professional classes while you're abroad, I encourage all of you to attend public lectures and events such as at the law school or business school if you're interested, and to take advantage of all the resources that this fast-paced, dynamic place has to offer. And if you don't already know, UCD is the most popular study abroad destination at Holy Cross, and every year we typically send about 40 to 45 students total, so it rivals the University of Melbourne in terms of applicants. And so Tara, I was wondering, what's the UCD campus like, and how would you describe Dublin for somebody who has never been there before?
So as I said, I went to Cork, but my older brother, who also went to Holy Cross, did his full year at UCD, and I was able to visit him while he was abroad, and it's massive and very modern and like very college campus-esque. You live within community, you live within dorms with other students. It's very college-like, and then you take buses to the city center. But Dublin as a city is very much like very fascinating. It's very Irish in itself, but also very modern and up to speed with like cities that you could be used to, like New York City or Boston, like those type of hubbubs and like the hustle and bustle. Dublin really gets to that, but also has Dublin's like in zones, and there's different zones of Dublin that are very much so quiet and more of like the suburbs per se of the city right there. Everyone's very friendly, and there's it's a lot of international people that live in Dublin. It feels like since it is the capital, it's the hubbub of the country. So there's all different people from all over the world living there. So you'll hear all different languages, accents, everything.
So some of the academic areas of specialty at UCD include, but are not limited to, economics. We always send a good amount of econ majors there every year. English, I've already mentioned, political science, philosophy, Irish Celtic language and culture, computer science, math, sociology, and psychology. And to prepare for study abroad, I encourage you to please meet with your departmental study abroad advisor. And the list of who these professors are appear on our website, the same one, sa.holycross.edu. Also on our website is a collection of PDFs, which list all of the courses previously taken by Holy Cross students at all of our study abroad programs. And it's a very useful resource to be able to compare these 3 programs. If there's a particular class you're interested in, but it hasn't been taken before by a Holy Cross student, you'll have the opportunity to have it evaluated by the registrar's office. It will usually be approved as long as it isn't a business law or marketing course, or a course of similar content you've already taken at Holy Cross, or any major course requirements that require you to take the class at Holy Cross. So wherever you study abroad, the classes that you take there can fulfill major, minor, common area requirements, or fulfill elective requirements, or you could just take something completely new. The choice is yours. For all three of these institutions, you will enroll in 6 courses. They're called modules, which is the equivalent of full-time enrollment at Holy Cross. So each semester you take 6 classes. And the credit system is different in Ireland, but I think it's to your benefit because you can explore more subjects while you're there and potentially fulfill more degree requirements, especially if you attend for the academic year. In terms of eligibility, UCD has a strict GPA cutoff of exactly 2.85. If you have any concerns about your GPA, please feel free to contact me and I can take a look at your transcript. If you're just under 2.85, then do try your best to raise your GPA this fall semester. And along those same lines, you cannot have any academic deficiencies before your departure, such as withdrawals or low number of credits. But there are different ways that you can compensate for those deficiencies. And again, I welcome you to contact me directly if you have any questions about that. In terms of when you can actually go to UCD, it's flexible. You can go for the academic year, like Tara's brother did, or you can go for the fall semester or the spring. So it's rather flexible. And so I was wondering, what have you heard about the academic at UCD, and what did your brother study there? I'm just curious.
My brother was an econ major and he took a lot of his Common Core requirements while abroad, along with a few major requirements. So he really explored, he took a lot of Irish music classes because he loves music and he just thought it'd be a great opportunity to explore such a different subject. But his experience, he really felt like it was very different from the Holy Cross classroom, which I also completely agree with. Just a completely different learning environment. There's different expectations of you as students there. At least from what I know of his experience, a lot of his classes just had like one major paper and that was about it. And it was all on you to do it. The professors are kind of removed from your experience since it is such a large institution, but my brother really enjoyed that experience and it was something that he was interested doing in college. Like he wanted to go to a big college and then decided to go to Holy Cross. So it was like his fun year of living out that dream, as he calls it, but he really enjoyed it.
That's so great to hear. So one of the things our office encourages is for students to explore university clubs, student organizations or sports while you're abroad, so you can integrate yourself into your new community and continue the things that you enjoy doing at Holy Cross while you're abroad. There are over 70 different student groups at UCD, so please take some time to think about what extracurricular activities would interest you. It can be difficult to feel a sense of belonging if you limit your interactions with Irish students to only the classroom because the lecture sizes are so large. And a good way to make new friends and expand your social network is to join a club. And Tara, I don't know if you had any time while you were at Cork to get involved in any extracurriculars or campus activities.
Well, I was at Cork. I actually joined the Mental Health Awareness Club. It did not meet a lot, but I did meet a few interesting people through it. And I know my brother joined the UCD golf sports team while there.
Right, that's great. And I think with sports, it's kind of flexible. You don't need to necessarily have like a background in the sport to join like the rugby club or the golf club. At least that's what I've heard from other returnees. So if you attend UCD, Cork, or Galway for the academic year, you will complete a Holy Cross academic requirement known as the ICIP, which stands for Independent Cultural Immersion Project. The project will not satisfy any course requirements at Holy Cross, but you'll be given a quarter of one Holy Cross credit, and it will appear on your transcript. Essentially, it's meant to help immerse yourself in your new community, and it can be achieved through 4 ways. First, you can do an internship in any field, including the business or legal fields or professional fields. That would be a productive and enriching experience that aligns with your professional goals. Another option is a community-based learning project. This is where you volunteer on a regular basis with an agency devoted to community service and or social justice. And this agency can be church affiliated or it can be secular, it doesn't matter. Third, you can choose to follow your passion and develop a hobby that is of real interest to you. For example, I had a student, I think she was in Cork, and she joined like the local theater group, and she did a lot of cabaret performances, and she ended up writing a final paper about her experience doing that. Also, within the Follow Your Passion project, it can also be like a self-designed research project. So I had another student at Cork write an ICIP paper about the history of protest movements in Cork, which was really good. And then finally, you can enroll in a year of Irish or Gaelic classes to fulfill your ICIP. And if you take a year of Irish, it can also count as fulfilling your language requirement for Holy Cross. It is kind of a tough language. I remember trying to teach myself some Gaelic when I was younger, but we can help with arranging tutoring if needed. Did you pick up any Gaelic while you were there?
Very little. There was a couple places that I went that was all Gaelic, and I struggled to understand a lot of it, but you sort of learned some common terms.
So also I should say that with one other thing about the ICIP is that at all of these 3 universities, there are ICIP advisors who will work closely with you over the academic year to complete this requirement, and they can help you in the process of finding an internship or a volunteer location, and they will be the ones grading your ICIP. So lastly, in regard to UCD, you will be living in on-campus accommodations. There are 7 different dorms to choose from, and nearly all of them are en suite. So you'll have your own bedroom and bathroom, and then share a kitchen and a living room with other students. So it's somewhat like having a roommates in that way. And you are in charge of your meal plan. You won't be billed the Holy Cross board fee, so you can take your pick of eating at cafeterias, restaurants nearby, or go grocery shopping and cook for yourselves. It's up to you how much you want to budget. So on to Cork, which the Gaelic name means literally marsh, and it's the 2nd largest city in Ireland, and it's built around the River Lee and the harbor. Originally founded in the 6th century as a monastic settlement, Cork was then expanded during the Viking and medieval periods, and you can still see some of the medieval architecture on its north and south main streets. And then in the 1920s, it became known as the Rebel City, or the real capital in Ireland, in reference to its opposition to the Anglo-Irish Treaty. So the University College Cork has about 20,000 students. with around 3,000 international students. It's famous for a few things. It's pioneering research using stem cells. It also has an international reputation as being one of the most green or sustainable universities in the world, with Ireland's first plastic-free cafe. And the campus also has a famous collection of ancient tablets with the earliest remnants of the Irish language on display right here in this corner. How would you describe Cork for somebody who's never been there? And can you tell us what the campus is like?
Cork is obviously the best, fully biased in that, but Cork is the perfect middle city per se. Even though it is the second largest, it's felt a lot more manageable than Dublin at times. And it's a lot bigger than Galway, in my opinion. It just seems like the perfect size. It's a place where I was still exploring when I was leaving in December. I was still going to new restaurants and going to different places within the city. But yet within a few weeks, like, I understood the layout and like how to get around without looking down at my phone for a map constantly, which was really nice. Everyone is super friendly in Cork. I found it more so than most cities that we visited, or people are just really willing to like speak to you and wanting to know like why Cork, and they're really proud. Like, the idea of like being the real capital like runs deep. It's all over the city. It's graffitied everywhere. And everyone just has a great sense of pride within Cork and is really proud to be from Cork. So it's a great positive energy in the city. And then campus is big. For the corner of campus from where you'll be living is about like a 7-minute walk. But if you have class on the other side of campus, it can be like a 25-30-minute trek. It's really old. There's like great architecture and buildings, but yet there's really new ones. In the previous two photos, the one that was like all glass, that's like the student center and very modern and one of the newer places on campus, but yet a lot of their classrooms and the outside of their buildings have that old charm. It kind of reminds me of Holy Cross with our new buildings of like Hart and the Joe, but yet we have like beautiful Fenwick. It's always busy. There's a main part of campus around the quad, and then there's kind of different sections off of that, and every department kind of has their own section of campus.
Among Cork's academic strengths are music, literature, history, Irish, Celtic culture and language, political science, psychology, sociology, and art history. Before beginning the fall semester at Cork, all Holy Cross students enroll in a 3-week course called the Early Start Program, where visiting students are introduced to some aspect of Irish studies through a carefully guided approach to either Ireland's history, its culture, or environment. These are the 6 Early Start modules that are offered: Irish archaeology, folklore and tradition, history and modern Ireland, literature, music, and then one that focuses on the European Union management and marketing specifically. And each one of these 6 include field trips. So it's a nice introduction to the area before you become more busy on campus. And it's also a good way to bond with other Holy Cross students who are enrolled in the same Early Start program. Which one did you select, and what was it like? And if you could then speak a little bit more about your general academic experience at UCC, and which modules did you like the most?
I did my Early Start program of Irish archaeology, and actually all 10 of us from Holy Cross that were there last fall did it all together. So it was a great opportunity to get to know one another the first 3 weeks being in the country. None of us were like a part of the same friend group, so it was nice to meet everyone and kind of have that home base started within the first few weeks. But also, like, in general, the best 3 weeks, we all talk about it still constantly. It's a probably going to be one of your smallest classes if you do go to Cork. It's about 50 students per class. I tend to realize that they sorted it out that way, and it's twice a week. It's a lecture, really simple. At least Irish archaeology, the professor, like, they teach it because they want to meet the international students. So it was one of the friendliest professors I had while in Cork, because it was fully geared towards international students. And it also had the best field trips. We went on 4 different field trips throughout the first 3 weeks. We took an overnight field trip to Galway. We did an overnight field trip to Dublin. And then we did 2 different day trips all around Cork as a county, not just the city. So within the first 3 weeks, we had seen like all 3 of the major sites within our own city of Cork in the county, but also like 2 of the bigger cities within Ireland. So we automatically felt like we had a great sense of where we were within Ireland and the background. We also got to see some really cool things, and the professor like acknowledged that a lot of us didn't know Ireland, so also let us do a lot fun different things outside of archaeology, because I was not an archaeology person, but someone had suggested that I choose that as the early start. So I just sort of went for it, and it was really great. And then the general academic experience, I really loved it. It was just very different from Holy Cross. It was a different chance to learn in different ways. They just teach very differently there. It is a lot of, they provide syllabus, but there's like no reading list. It's like, okay, here are the couple books, or like, here's links to different articles, and just read it by the end of the semester and be ready to discuss the topic for the week. And that's literally all they give you, like the topic of the week, and then you have to sort of be ready to discuss. But because classes are so big generally, it's not like you're discussing in the terms of Holy Cross sense of where you're reading those articles and going to class and filling the whole time. Usually it's a massive lecture hall of like 400 students, and they're just going to talk about the topic. So even though they say discussion, it tends to be a little bit more lecture, I found. And then overall, I took all different types of classes. I took forensic psychology and lifespan psychology that went towards my major. And then I actually have them listed because I forgot all the official names, but there's this geography class that dealt with the city itself. So it was called People, Places, and Politics. And that was also fun because it was geared towards international students. So it was nice to meet people through that. And then I got some Common Core requirements done through an 18th century literature class and a philosophy class. And then I also took Politics of Church and State, which ended up being my hardest class because it was a 300 level, and I kind of just went for it because I was interested in it. But also in a different point of view, it was my hardest class while abroad, but it hasn't been my hardest class in college. Even though it was hard in Ireland, it wasn't the hardest that I've ever taken in terms of Holy Cross. So just the level is very different, but also fascinating.
Yes, Irish archaeology seems to be the most popular of all the early start programs. And I'm so glad that I wasn't sure if you took field trips to different parts of Ireland outside of Cork. So that's great to hear you went to Galway and Dublin and surrounding areas. So for admissions to UCC, a minimum GPA of a 2.8 is required, and you can attend for either the fall semester or for the academic year. The spring semester only is not an option because you'll miss out on the early start program if you begin in the middle of the year. Like UCD, UCC has a number of student-run organizations or societies that you can read about online at this website. And if you're interested in having a copy of this PowerPoint, just email me and I'll be happy to share it with you so you can click on these links. So accommodations at Cork are in off-campus, privately run complex called the Spires. It's just a short walk from the campus and the city center. And like UCD and Galway, your meals are classified as self-catered, and you'll have a communal kitchen and living room. And how would you describe the accommodations and that sort of arrangement? And how did you handle not having like a standard meal plan per se?
Yeah, I really love the Spires. It felt like the perfect location. As I mentioned earlier, it's just like about a quick 7 minute walk to the main center, like main area of campus. And then it's only about 15 minutes to the city center, which is really nice. It just felt very manageable. We didn't have to figure out the bus system within the city per se. We only really took buses to get out of the city. So it was like nice to be able to walk everywhere and explore that way. But the housing itself, I really enjoyed. Me and my roommates were all from Holy Cross. We were randomly assigned and we all got grouped together. So it was nice to have that feeling of home. But we all had our own bedroom, bathroom. We had a kitchen and living room, and we also had a guest bathroom, which we all thought was so funny. There's an extra hallway bathroom, even though we all had our own. Um, and it was all like perfect, like anything that you'd expect in a college dorm situation. The thing that we all found so fascinating is that they give you exactly of however many there are of you. So like for couches, if you're living in a 5-person apartment, like there's 5 couch cushions. Like they make a 3-person couch and a 2-person couch. But if you're living in a 4-person apartment, it's two-seaters, and simple things like that, like only 4 forks. So they definitely give you the basis, which is nice, to get you going. But we also found like we needed to get more supplies just to maintain, like, you're not going to wash the fork every time you use it, and you're living your life going about. So it just made life more reasonable to get stuff. And they also at the Spires offer like a welcome pack of like bedding just to get you going for your first day. And I opted to do that. And that was really helpful just for move-in day. Like the idea that we had just traveled for so many hours to get there and we were exhausted, just to be able to lay on the bed in a clean bed with sheets was very nice. Um, but we loved it. And then with self catering meals, we tended to do at least once a week. We ate out as a group. I got really lucky. Me and my roommates all got along, and we're all really good friends now after going abroad together. So we actually ate dinner every night together. So it was kind of spoiled because we did a rotation of, I always had Monday nights and we just went along with that. But it was super easy and manageable. Self-delivery groceries are very big and common in Ireland. So if you were to walk into the city center, it's a 15-minute walk downhill, but you'd have to walk uphill all the way with all your groceries. So we kind of like cheated the system and self-ordered groceries, and they'd be delivered right to our front door with no fees. So that was really nice. And I know that it's all over Ireland, so definitely take advantage of that if you do that, just because it saves you time. But we found it very easy to manage like a budget and eating, and just like you have a lot more free time. And I know like academics are just different. They're not as rigorous as Holy Cross. So like you have the free time because you're not doing 12 hours of homework. It feels like every day. It's very much so like you can go into the city every day and explore if you want to and budget your time that way. So it wasn't overwhelming to provide for myself.
So before moving on to Galway, I want to mention that whichever program you select, there are on-site cultural advisors employed by Holy Cross who will be there to organize a welcome dinner, a variety of field trips, and also offer support services to you. And so we have Fiona Clark in Dublin, who works with students both at Trinity and UCD. Patrick O'Donnell is in Cork. He's a musician and ethnomusicologist. And then Kathleen O'Connell in Galway. And I have to say that they were just, especially Kathleen O'Connell, was indispensable in Galway when all of the students had to suddenly leave campus because of the COVID. And so they're a really great group of people and very supportive of Holy Cross students. And Fiona and Kathleen have been taking Holy Cross students on excursions for many years. Patrick O'Donnell is the latest sort of new hire that we have in Cork. And I was wondering, where did Patrick take your Holy Cross cohort in terms of field trips?
Yeah, we did small things around the city because he was a musician. He really knew the city well. So we went out to dinner just like a few times, very simple. Went to a few restaurants and museums all together as a group. It often felt like our group wasn't able to get together a lot just because of our different schedules. But when we did have the chance to get together, it was nice to have that home base feel and like have a meal given to you that you don't have to worry about. After a couple months, the meals tend to get a little tireless.
Understandable. Now, Galway. It's a beautiful seaside city that dates back to the medieval period. It's well known for its Druid theater company and music scene. It's also known for its very picturesque scenic shoreline and the heavy use of the Irish language. People speak Gaelic there. And not surprisingly, for the year 2020, Galway was named the European Capital of Culture. In terms of the number of students at Galway, it's about the same number as Cork, as well as the same amount of international students, around 3,000. A difference, though, is that it is a bilingual campus. So courses are offered both in Gaelic, the Irish language, and in English. You'll be enrolled, obviously, in the English-speaking classes, but you're more than welcome to study Gaelic while you're there. Some academic departments that stand out at Galway include theater, literature, history, philosophy, art history, marine science, because you're so close to the ocean, biology, sociology, political science, and then of course, Irish and Celtic culture as expected. And again, take a look at the student organizations there. And Tara, what were your impressions of Galway? And what have you heard about the academic experience there from other students?
I went to Galway a few times while abroad, and I absolutely loved it. It's very small and quaint and very cute, per se, kind of picturesque Ireland at times. It's a lot more, it doesn't feel as city-like, which is nice and attracts a lot of students. I know that everyone, very similar academic situation, it kind of feels like across the board with these schools. Very different from Holy Cross. Like all the things that I've said is what I've heard about Galway as well. And in general, they really like their accommodations and they just really enjoy it.
So Galway recommends a GPA of a 3.0 or above to apply. But if it's a little bit below that, then 2 recommendation letters are required, and then the cutoff is around a 2.8. Like UCD, you can attend for the year, the fall, or the spring, so you have that flexibility. Housing is the same setup as Dublin and Cork, where you have your own bedroom, but a shared kitchen and living room. Holy Cross students stay at either Corb Village or Goldcrest Village. There are 2 buildings, they're right next to each other, and these are dorms. Corb is bigger than Goldcrest. I think it houses about 600 students. And you're not really, whenever you apply for housing, it's sort of random. You may be living with other Holy Cross students, or you could be living with Irish, domestic students, or other international students. And, as Tara has been mentioning, you can look forward to a more academic independence studying abroad in Ireland. And there is frequently only 1, sometimes 2 assignments or exams that account for your entire course grade. There are resources available if you feel like you're struggling or would like extra help, but know that you won't be monitored or continuously assessed like you are at Holy Cross with multiple assignments throughout the semester. So you'll need to take the initiative should you need any assistance. And we recommend that you should be studying for each class more than double the amount of time that you're actually in class. And before your departure, it would be beneficial to educate yourself with the grade conversion sheets that are available on the registrar's office website. So where you can see that if you receive a 70 on your final exam, that is the equivalent to an A. And then my final questions for Tara, they're more sort of reflective. Can you describe how, in general, study abroad has impacted you personally, academically, career-wise? And what advice do you have for somebody who's never been abroad before, who's never left the United States and might feel a little hesitant about this whole idea? And then if you have any photos, I can give you the host privileges on Zoom so we can take a look at those.
Yeah, I can answer the questions, and I do have a couple of photos prepared to like show you all a little bit more about my experience. But study abroad just like really opened up my eyes, and I know that a lot of people are like, oh, the classic study abroad, like study abroad changed me, and I try not to be that stereotypical girl, but it really did. I really enjoyed my time in Cork, and before going, I wasn't as adventurous. Like I liked my routine, I liked my schedule, but I also wanted to take this opportunity. It's a rare chance in your life to have that long-term ability to go through and travel the world to different countries and just to live in a different country with not a full responsibility of a full-time job or employment or something tying you down per se. Not that academics is the side, it's not the side of the Holy Cross, that it's not the second part of it, but you just have a lot of freedom and abilities to do a lot of new different things. And I definitely pushed myself to try new things. I traveled by myself. I did things with groups of people I met. I really pushed myself to meet new people, both Irish and different international students. So just like kind of put myself out there. And I feel like it really helped bring that same person back here to Holy Cross for my senior year. I just feel like I grew up a little bit, and you mature in such different ways when you are just fully alone. Like there's no mom or dad to call you, even if they're hours away. For at least me, like being from New Jersey, like if anything really did happen, I felt like I always had the security blanket of I had extended family in Massachusetts. But when I was in Ireland, it was all me and all on my own, and I had to fend for myself. But that also made me like grow up and learn how to like, you know, like how do you stick to a budget when you want to eat out every week because you're in a different country and you want to experience it, and just things, silly little things, more things about life per se than we tend to learn in the academic setting. So it just was really wonderful. And then my advice for anyone who is kind of hesitant is that, like, don't be fooled. I cried for weeks before I left. I was like, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. Like, people are always like, college is the best 4 years of your life. So I was like, why am I leaving? And I didn't go for the whole year, but I also was doing the DC semester, my spring semester. So I was away from Holy Cross for the whole year. So I was like, this is a lot of time away from my friends. But I came out with 9 new best friends from all different places, like mostly from Holy Cross, but also different American universities. So I just like take the leap of faith. I've never really heard of someone not liking their abroad experience personally.
Yes, take a leap of faith. So I'll stop my share and assign you host privileges. And I think now you can do your screen share.
These are also really random photos, but I can like explain them so they're not as random to everyone, I promise. That presenting it now or no?
Yes,
Perfect. So this is just all photos from Ireland in general, so like all over the country, just to give you a sense of how beautiful it is. I feel like Ireland usually gets the rep of being rainy and dreary, but it's so beautiful, and there's so many amazing places. And this was just throughout Ireland, and then this is Cork specifically, just for, I'm going to have to vouch for my own city that I grew to love. Both of these photos are aerial shots from two different vantage points within the city. The top right corner of the photo on the top right, that's like where the university mostly is. And then the one with the girl with the backpack, that's actually on the same street as we live in Cork. It's called Elizabeth Sport. So there's history all around you where you're living, which I really loved. And then this is UCC's campus specifically. The one in the main left corner is the quad, and there's a rumor that if you step on the grass, you will fail your classes for the semester. No one told us on our first day, so we all took a massive group photo on it. I couldn't find that one, but there's another photo of all of us from Holy Cross on the quad. And then the one in the top middle is the walk if you have class far away from campus. This is the tutorial class that I took, which is kind of similar to a practicum at Holy Cross. It's where you break off into smaller groups to dive into the course material. And that was a 35-minute walk from the apartment. And then the bottom right-hand corner is kind of just a stereotypical lecture hall at UCC. That was my biggest class. I believe it was over 400 people, and it was my forensic psychology class. And then this is just an overview of our time in Cork. The top left corner was the tree lighting. The two middle photos were all different aspects of the city. The one of us in the right top hand corner was a group of us, my friends, at the school bar. It was the pub that everyone went to on Wednesday nights that went to UCC. And they had a local artist every week playing live music, which was so fun. And then the bottom left-hand corner was my apartment. It was my 3 roommates and myself. You can kind of see a sneak peek into what the dorms or apartments look like in the spires. Very simple, but also you can make it your own. And then we actually did our own Thanksgiving dinner, which is the bottom middle, where we all cooked our own traditional Thanksgiving sides to celebrate across the pond. And then the last photo is just a silly photo of us on our last night in Cork all together in one of the apartments. And then I also was able to travel to all different places. So the left-hand photos on this one are all photos from my time in Belgium. We actually rented a car and drove all over the country, which was a very cool experience. And then the right is my time in Germany. And then again, the left is my time in London, and my right is the time in Rome that I had. But those are just a few of the photos from.
This was so great. Thank you. And if you could just make me the host again, I'll show you the last couple of slides I have left. Okay, can everyone see that? So I'll quickly review this. In terms of finances, there are no additional fees to study abroad, such as an application fee. You'll pay the standard Holy Cross room and tuition. If you're the recipient of financial aid, that transfers over to your semester or your year abroad. Every student is provided an activity budget. So if you stay for one semester, you receive $175. For the academic year students, it's $200. And what this is extra money for you to, engage in cultural activities, any fee to cover the cost of any fees in terms of joining a club or a sports group. And we make it really easy. All you do is you take a photo of your receipt and then email it to our office. In terms of flights, you will buy your own ticket, but all students will receive a travel credit on that appears on your Holy Cross account, which is the cost of an average round trip flight from Boston to Ireland. So for example, it was last year $750, between $750 and $800 for Dublin, Cork, and Galway, and it varies year by year. And then lastly, for visas, visas are not required if you are a citizen of the US, Canada, or Japan. However, you do need to register with the Garda, National Immigration Bureau, after your arrival, and you pay a fee of 300 euros, which is about $330. It's notoriously difficult to get a appointment to do this, but you do have to do it. Was that your experience, Ariane? Yeah.
Go right away. A lot of people push it off, and you only have, I believe it's like 30 days, or there's some timeline that you get right when you enter the country, and all the international students just wait until the very last second. So I even went on the early side, and I waited about 4 hours in line just for them to look at 2 things in 3 seconds, take my photo, and leave.
That is so typical. It takes about 3 to 4 hours just for that, whatever you get, a stamp or something. But essentially what it is that it functions as like a multi-entry visa. So then you can leave Ireland, fly to continental Europe and back, and keep doing that if you so choose to. A quick overview, just speak with your academic advisors. Like I said, there's an academic advisor for each department, as well as a professor who is designated as the study abroad course evaluator. The application that you do for Holy Cross, it's rather straightforward. You write a personal statement, an explanation of your motivation to study abroad, and why you've chosen Ireland, and specifically why the institution fits you best. It's a 2-page essay. We require 1 letter of recommendation. You upload your unofficial transcript from STAR, and then the deadline, like I said, is November 6th. Don't apply November 5th because last year we had so many people uploading things to our portal the day before the deadline, and then it crashed our website altogether, and it took a couple of days to get it back online. So spread out the work. You do have time. And then, like I said, I'll look at your application, and then after I approve it, you apply to the university directly, and then I help you with that process. Much later comes the pre-departure meetings, and these occur in the spring for the fall 2021 applicants, and then again they occur in fall 2021 for the spring 2022 applicants. And at these pre-departure meetings, we go over logistics in much more detail, as well as finances. My final remarks, please get a passport if you don't already have one. And if it's going to expire soon or before January 2023, please renew it. Obviously, the Office of Study Abroad closely monitors the COVID pandemic every week, actually more than every week, every day. Safety is our top priority. We will not send you abroad if the location does not meet our health and safety standards. And every Holy Cross student will pay a fee. It's less than $200 for international health insurance, and it also functions as emergency assistance. It's called International SOS, and Cigna is the health provider.